theater class and was able to take my little nervousness and kind of give me a little form, structure. And I just, ever since junior high, through middle school, through high school, got my BA in theater and speech from a small university in San Antonio called Isleta, the Lake University. Then ended up going to Dallas and Austin and eventually moving to LA. Been in Los Angeles for about 22 years now. Got my union card probably about 25 years ago. If you're in the industry, having a union card is really, really important. So that's something you kind of want to look at, is what are the different ways of becoming a union member. If that's important, you can ask me questions later on. It's not that hard to find out. But yeah, but I mean, that's what we are, man. We're storytellers. You know, growing up in Texas, the Latino culture in San Antonio is dominant. Texas, you know, because of the wonderful Texas Rangers, you know, we have no reservations, no communities. The only one we do have is Kickapoo, but that's actually Mexico. So I looked at other areas where people like me were at, and it was in film and television. And even then, it wasn't a very positive approach to it. So growing up, visiting with family members, it was important for me to get in an industry that can somehow inform people of who we are, or what we are. In this industry, they're afraid to reinvent the native actor. We are fine as long as we're in the 18th century. You know, as long as we're on horseback and we're wearing our leathers, and we're accepted. But if to put us in a modern day scenario, Hollywood still has a bit of a problem with that. Someone asked me, do you feel that the industry is changing? Sure, everything changes. It may not change at the speed in which you wish it to change, but if you're complaining about the speed, get involved with the change, and trust me, it'll make you feel a lot better. Great question, thank you. Anyone else? Yes?
So do you feel like the change is going in a positive direction?
Whoa. You know, I mean, any direction is positive. I mean, that's about being an Indian person. There's nothing negative about going in a direction, whether it's around in circles or if you're just going straight. You know, there's something to be said about that direction. Yeah, it's movement, right? It's the flowing. I mean, even, you know, it's that forward, endeavoring to persevere. You know, Chief Dan George, best line, endeavoring to persevere. It's a positive change. Final answer. I will say a positive change for the reason that it's change. I mean, I've turned a career of being on horseback to having a career now to where one of the best characters that I'm known for gets to wear great suits, you know, and owns a casino and gets to laugh at himself. So yeah, that's a positive change. Doing John Redcorn from King of the Hill, I did 5 or 6 seasons, doing 5 or 6 episodes. And I really got tired of the John Redcorn, if you're familiar with the character, having this relationship with a married woman and not following up on his fatherly duties. And I remember going to Fox going, listen, I can't do this anymore. I said, I'm in the community, I spend time in Shiprock or Tuba City with people that I know, and it's come to my attention that it's not funny of having this native character when all the characters on King of the Hill were a positive character. John Redcorn was the only character that had a dark light under him. Fox says to me, well, Jonathan, it's funny. Your money, every time you jump in and out of that window, we get so many laughs. I said, you guys are Emmy Award-winning writers. I'm pretty sure you guys can write something other than this native character going in and out of the window, which I would be, see you later, Nancy. And that's, you know, $2,500 to me. And there was a point where I couldn't do that anymore, to where I stood up, I went from 5 or 6 episodes to 1 episode a season, because I no longer with the running joke. Then they kind of looked at my life. I had a band at the time. That's when John Redcorn picked up the Big Mountain Fudge Cake Band. That was something I was already doing. Because I basically told writers, if you need to know how an Indian's funny, look at me. Trust me, look at me, I will make you laugh. And sure enough, man, we would be doing gigs, you know, and I'd go back and I'd read a script. John Redcorn wears a flaming shirt. And I'm like, I wore a flaming shirt with flames on it at this gig. How did these people know that? So, back to the change and back to the John Redcorn. It just, in the industry, to try to somehow make a stance. I mean, and like they would tell you, you do realize you're standing up for a cartoon. You're drawing a line in the sand for a cartoon. I'm like, for you it may be a cartoon, but for us, it's a new medium for us to be represented in as a Native person. So it's important to, you know, and that's why a lot of people don't do Native stuff. Damn, I'm so tired of working with those damn Indians. They're always complaining. Don't use real sage, don't use real tobacco, don't do this, don't do that. Those Indians are so full of it. Well, yeah, we are full of it, and we don't want to lose it. So it's a bittersweet kind of pill to swallow. When you want the acknowledgement, but you also want the respect. But Hollywood is not an industry that you go for acknowledgement or respect. Another question, please? Yes. There are two games on Sony. They don't give us titles. Video game business is like the most secretive industry in the world. I was playing like an indigenous character, and I went in and recorded it, and then like a year later they had me go in and do something else. And they're like, Jonathan, we want to show you your character. And they popped up a non-native character. And I was like, whoa! That's what I would look like? You know, so it's, we were never told. I mean, Sony Lot, it's like, I went to go to the restroom, and the guy's like, excuse me, may I help you? I'm like, I hope not, I'm just gonna go to the bathroom, you know? Well, we have to make sure that you have your shadow with you. Man, a video game, whoa. Okay, question please. Anyone? Hello, have a seat guys, please. I'm Jonathan Johnson, voice of John Redcorn, King of the Hill, Kennetonte Parks and Recreation. Yes, sir.
Another question. I've heard rumors that they might be bringing back King of the Hill. If they did that,
You know what? Of course I would, because right now my mom's under hospice care, and I'm trying to take care of her at home without her moving into a nursing home. So yeah, I would do it, but I don't think that's going to happen. There's so many things that made King of the Hill great. It's not the actors, it was the writers, it was producers, sound engineers, also a certain time in the world. I don't know if we could ever go back to that. But of course it'd be fun to do, but I honestly don't think that's going to happen. Anyone else? Anyone else? Another question? Anything? Yes, ma'am. You know, current events are current. I try to stay out of the realm of politics just for the reason that I'm an actor and I live in fantasy. But then again, to be native means to, I'm American Indian Movement in Central Texas. So for me, political is every day, but I really try not to give my advice. Because if you're asking me for my advice, ask 4 or 5 other people, then come to me. I'm like the last person you want to get advice from. Question, please. Anyone else? Yes.
Do you think Hollywood's getting a little bit at least more aware or better at the whole sort of whitewashing roles and everything?
Well, they're getting better at telling you that they're doing it. You know, it's like the kid running in and saying, Mommy, look, I wrote on the wall. Oh, isn't that pretty? Look, you wrote on the wall. Looks like a face, doesn't it? Oh, look. But don't do that anymore. But it looks pretty. That's what Hollywood does. I'm sorry I did it. I'll go to therapy.
Is it still sort of born out of that sort of misguided idea that you need a star or something tied to a movie to or something?
Always. You've got to find a way to put people in the seat. I think then again, it's all about, the question was Hollywood, you've got to have a backing star. Because anybody who invests in something want to know how we're going to get our money back. And you can't get your money back unless you sell seats in the theater. And the only way to get seats in the theater is to put that person in there. Magnificent Seven, was it a Denzel Washington movie? Or was it a Chris Pratt movie? What do you think? All those that say it was a Denzel Washington movie, raise your hand. Those that say it's a Chris Pratt movie. Oh, that's interesting. But that was the thing, man. You got to see the two buffalo. You got to see the old buffalo and the young buffalo. Because we on the movie set did not know. We would ask, hey man, whose movie is this? Is it Chris Pratt or is it Denzel Washington? We're not sure. So sure enough, on the set, the first couple of days, we're watching to see who is going to come out of the trailer first. Or is it who comes out of the trailer last? Which one is it? Of course, they both come out at the same time. You're like, great, man, you're playing games. Until it was a hot day, Denzel was in the street, being Denzel, and here comes Chris, walking from an air-conditioned room to go tell Mr. Washington, boy, that was a great scene. And that's where we went. It's a Denzel Washington movie, and Chris kind of bowed down to Denzel. So that's when you start doing, $120 million budget film. You really get to see, how things kind of happen. Yeah. So yeah, you got to have a star. I mean, that's why a lot of independent writers, we can't get anywhere. A lot of our stories will never be heard or seen because we don't have that backing. Native people, we don't sell enough hamburgers. We don't buy enough Coca-Colas in order to have a say about how we're portrayed. But I've always told people within the industry, you don't know how many people believe in what we are and believe who we are. Even though they may not be relations, but we are all relations. So to honor the indigenous people on film is respected not only by that indigenous people, but by the other people. I mean, look at Dancing with Wolves. I mean, one of the biggest, come on. I remember seeing Dances with Wolves, looked around and there's no Indians in here. What a cool thing that they came out in droves to watch a show that at that time represented us in the 18th century, Oh, I get to wear pants? That's what I tell my manager now. You got an audition next week. Do I get to wear pants? She's like, why is that so important? Have you made a career by not wearing pants? It's very important to wear pants. Hi, Miss Regina. Yes, so important. Yeah. So, yeah. So being a native actor, that's the first thing you ask your agent. Am I get to wear pants? Yeah. No animals or horses were injured in the filming of this. It never says anything about an Indian hurting himself. Never. It's just no horses. Yeah. Any questions? Yes?
Do you feel like you have a strong, I know you mentioned you tried to go to Fox about the negative light on John Redcorn. Do you feel like you have a bigger voice now than you did then for that issue?
I hated King of the Hill. I mean, I did everything I could to get fired. I did everything I could to stay on the show. It wasn't until after the show got canceled that it was on Netflix or something, Cartoon Network or something like that, where all of a sudden there was a resurgence of people. I started doing cons like this to where I saw not only Indian people, but people that were saying, hey, we like your character. I wish they would have done more with him. It wasn't until Dustin Tamanyaka, Dr. Dustin Tamanyaka up at Georgetown University wrote a book about indigenous people, and he did a whole chapter on John Redcorn, talking about how he was a character that really kind of started something new, not only in animation, but just idea of putting this native character in film to be heard or animation. So it's just, he's not a great character, but he admitted his faults when he said, I can no longer heal your wife the way I heal the wives of others. That was huge for Fox. John Trudell came up to me one time and said that was one of the first times that the white folks have ever apologized for what happened. Because Dale says, on behalf of white people, I want to apologize what we have done for you. We still haven't gotten an apology. We've been asking for an apology, but we never get it. But the stupid little animation show got an apology from a goofy little white guy. For Native people, that was important. So to say that he's a John Trundle or a fucking Dennis Banks or whatever. No way. He's an animated cartoon. But he does speak to people. Yes?
Besides acting classes, what was one of the most transformational classes you took that made you think about Indigenous identity in the United States?
Whoa. Magnificent Seven. Of everything I've ever done, Magnificent Seven, I've hated it. For the reason, as an actor, I had to take this horrible character that was written in really bad light and figure a way to make him not stereotypical. And what made that so much more difficult is because I was getting paid a lot of freaking money. And I needed it. I had to figure out a way to make this character more than what Hollywood had written on film. So any acting job you get is an acting lesson. Whether you're spending $25 an hour at an acting lesson or if you're on a set. If you're on the set, that's just another acting lesson, except you're getting paid for that.
Yeah.
So,
Was it like something in college though? Like, I feel like personally speaking, there's some classes I took as an acting.
they'll tell you an improv class is important, you know, just to be able to move a topic along.